Hey guys, I'm Andrei. I'm a certified translator and a real estate concierge. I run a little company that has been relocating people to Belarus for almost 4 years by now. And today we're having one of our traditional digests of headlines, local things that happened, world things that happened around and that are affecting our local ways. Let's get started. As always, I would like to thank you all for following the channel and for your feedback, for your support of the channel. That helps to roll out new videos, not as often as we would like them to be there, but between here and there I'm trying to get a new video with some useful material where there may be tips that would help you to plan your future trip or your future relocation. One of the most global events affecting us was the recent package of sanctions against the Russian banks, and some of the gas trading was affected by it. In short, the US dollar here went up. 3.3 maybe a week ago, 3.5 now, and it's hard to tell what's gonna be on Monday, so December is definitely not going to be boring. This all affects the real estate world. Many foreigners who come over here, to their surprise, realize that the locals have a tradition of saving in dollars and trading in dollars when it comes to the real estate. Of course, all the settlements occur in rubles. There are legal ways to get it all done nicely and neatly. But still, dollars are very much on the price tags, and dollars are very much behind the price tags in all senses. Up till now, bank loans were driving the market up, and bank loans to the province buyers who could shop in Minsk, which was abolished in October, were pretty much bringing them into the market, driving the prices up. All the way through the year, the prices kept going up. So now it's not exactly that Minsk isn't having any offers, second-hand or new. Market is a bit complicated. I'm saying all this from the interviews, from the statements of the market experts. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not a market expert. I'm not employed by any real estate agency. And as a certified translator, I only work for my clients. That would be you guys. So all the above has to be considered with a special accent on the words may, should and maybe, and unfortunately that's not my favorite words, but there is a definite lack of certainty on the market. The prices are high and it seems to be the peak. At some point the prices were dropping. That's the first obvious statement. The second obvious thing is that traditionally Belarusians like to close deals in December, so both sellers and buyers may be competing for their bargain, their deal. Except now that the dollar rate went up and loans, though fewer, they're still available, are in rubles, and the salaries of the locals are mostly in rubles, they still save in dollars. Getting dollars is a bit harder, and that may make the buyers rush a little bit, and the desire to settle down this year and do the renovation or the quiet new life next year may force them into the market and shop more actively. That's obvious as well. What's obvious as well, thirdly, is that the sellers are pretty greedy. They're pretty pragmatic, we might say. They want to pay off for their repair, for their effort to get this place so neat and nice. And sometimes unrenovated options in the market are actually priced as just slightly lower than the renovated options. And that is driven by the I wants of the sellers, meaning they want to upgrade and buy something alternative, but they're lacking money and you are to pay for it if you wish to get this shack with walls and windows, and then they don't really care how you will be renovating and why. So this is all a tricky balance between I need and they want, and this is where agents, real estate agents and translators may be very handy to bring them in and to get them make a conversation, a sensible one. So based on what I've read in the experts' interviews, I would say that December is going to see a surge in deals, because people will also be using their savings, because depending on where their dollar rate is going to go this week, this very week from tomorrow, people may get this traditional New Year itch, which is quite traditional for us here in Belarus, and they will be interested in investing their monies anywhere they can lay their hands on. Cars, refrigerators, apartments. Apartments are the top desired goal. And there will be fewer options and fewer reasonably priced options in January, because although the market is kind of against the seller, slightly turning against the seller, not quite negative against them, In January, there will be fewer buyers with money, and the greedy sellers may, whoever are left with their property still unsold, will be slowly pushing their prices down, with the agents crying over them and saying, guys, what are you doing? The buyers are gone. It's my guess. It may not happen this way. And most importantly, the trends are still the same. 1-room and 2-room flats are the most desired units. They're the best sellers. And depending on the area and the city, of course, they may or may not have picked in price over the last couple of months and pick more this month. This month we're going to shop in Vitebsk quite actively, so we will be releasing some videos of the properties. And if you're interested in this subject, please contact me directly. Let's talk a little bit about the global stuff, which has been so intriguing lately. It seems there is some optimism worldwide. There's not much optimism between Trump's and Putin's friendship, and I will not judge about that, but Trump has been promising to put an end to the Ukrainian conflict, and some sanctions are rumored to be planned for removal. Some sanctions may be lifted, again, one of the main news. And it's really hard to tell whether or not they are going to restore the gas pipelines connecting Russia with Europe, because there's still some gas going through Ukraine, and that contract may not be extended in 2025. And Europe seems to be still quite badly dependent on the cheap gas from Russia, which is comparatively cheap compared to the alternative sources. I would hate to judge on the stuff that I really know little about, but it seems like there's some kind of a drive to get the things back in order, like restore them, and even the restoration of the northern gas lines that were demolished during the conflict is an interesting piece of news. It's hard to tell how much of that is rumored, and it's hard to tell how badly the German industry is hit by the lack of the natural gas. And if your guys are sitting in Germany, maybe you could tell me that the factories are indeed shutting down over this gas factor, and whether or not you guys are really expecting a cold winter, and that may be made colder because of the lack of the Russian gas. Tell me what you think, guys. International opinion is really much more important than those headlines. Let's talk about the local affairs. Like any democracy, Belarus has a lot of holidays, and even 2 Christmases. One of them is on the 25th of December, the other is on the 7th of January. Unlike in Russia, we have only a couple of days off. 25th and the 7th are the days off, and the 31st day of December, the New Year, is a day off. 1st of January is a natural day off, kind of. And the 2nd of January is going to be a working day, if I remember the schedule right. I'll put the days off over here so that you guys could navigate between our working days and days off in your touring plans. And it's really that all the places stay open until quite late during these days, during these holiday period. And that is a bit of a surprise to the foreign visitors, where all the Christmas hassle gets things shut down on the 24th of December. It doesn't work like this over here, but obviously offices and other places are loaded with people who are badly longing for New Year, so they're not as effective as they may be, let's say, in mid-May. Just came across an older news piece like a month back. The website was claiming that the tenants are looking for a better apartment, and they are ready to pay more for something renovated, tidy, and nice and central. This may be the case. I haven't been looking for an $800 apartment for a while, not since September, for a client. But the point is, now that the dollar thing is uncertain and many tenants are earning in rubles, the trend may change backwards. If the US dollar keeps climbing, 3.5 to 4 rubles against the dollar, the trend may see some of the 2-year-old events. 2 years back, the people were struggling to pay their rent, and some landlords were talking, some landlords were just pushing, no, we're not lowering the price. Piss off, vacate the place, and we'll find the better guys. They're lining up outside the door, which is unlikely. That may be the case, but This way, the apartment of my Mumbai client, which we are now furnishing in Vitebsk, I'll show you some pictures later, is getting pretty good interest from the Chinese students who are going to rent it. And we will see if that's going to be to our benefit and theirs, and how it's going to work out. I'll post a video at sometime soon. Unlike in many democratic countries, however, we decided to push all our taxi operators into a single registry of cabs, and all the drivers will have to be certified and use their cars for cab business only. So that conservatively cut the number of operators by some 30%. There are fewer drivers, there are fewer rides, the rides have gotten expensive. Even some occasional visitors who come here once a year notice that the rides have become more expensive. Waiting time has also got a bit longer. As always, the regular competitor of Uber is Yandex. Yandex Go is highly recommended as an app that you will use for your navigation. Over here, you'll need a SIM to register and an account card to tie up. You can also choose the cash only option. And for this, of course, you need to carry cash. And by the way, we could name this video with capital letters, carry cash. That's a very important principle, and you shouldn't rely solely on your card, although cards really are working. American or British, European or Asian, they still work. Visa and MasterCard. There are very few operators that reject them here locally, be that shops or restaurants. Employers have got a new trick in their, let's say, on their lap. The vacancies in any enterprise are now to be placed with the state single state registry for vacancies, if I got the name right, and they no longer can advertise jobs for men or women. If you know what I mean, there are more discrimination parameters like age and everything. Obviously, some jobs like carrying those water bottles up the 5th floor are not cut for 20-year-old ladies, but again, this is a kind of a new thing. It's kind of new culturally, and it is, I experienced some of that stuff when I rang up some companies looking for a translator. I heard, oh, we're looking to hire a girl for that stuff. I was a little bit pissed off, but that was to my benefit in the end. So right now, all these things have to be removed from the ads, and they have to be in that state registry before they go on vacancy websites. The jobs in Belarus are plenty. Payment is not necessarily super rewarding. That explains the deficit of manpower, and more foreigners come here for odd jobs like construction, cooking, driving, stuff like that. You can see that on a Yandex ride. So that is something that's in place, and if one is looking for a job in Belarus, Russian command is something really desirable, although not 100% necessary if you're a cutting-edge iOS programmer or something like this. By the looks of my courtyard in the city center, although I'm just a guest there, I'm regularly there, the cleaners are being saved on, and the street cleaners, street sweepers seem to be in high demand. From the next year on, there won't be any multicolor containers for collecting glass, plastic and stuff. The government has launched some kind of a reform to not do that separately anymore, although many people still dumped the trash into one single bin and didn't care, unfortunately, because it does get recycled in the end. The reform is going to push the garbage into single bins. Whether or not it's going to help environment, we will see long term. Hopefully they got the things right up there in the planning department. Some guy claims to have lost over $100,000 as money he lended to somebody else. He seemed to have a receipt, like some basic receipt, but any receipt from an individual here in Belarus is quite useless. A personal family example is behind this statement, and it's really important not to lend money. I would put it like that. It's a matter of trust, it's a matter of risk, it's a matter of how convincing your, let's say, future ex-friend is. But the point is, one should be very careful about this, and even courts will not be very helpful even if you win the case. I haven't had any cases like that. I had a case with my builders that I shook my money out of, and I was successful, but that is a considerable run of luck, I would say. So guys, if you have an amount of money that you wish to invest, do it really carefully, because there are already a few cases over here when people expats were placing money locally and they were not really happy afterwards. If you decide to lend that money in the end, collect a receipt saying when, where, how much was borrowed by the guy you are gifting your money to, and on what conditions and when the money must be returned. That will at least make the first effort of your lawyer a little bit easier. Some TLS Global Visa Center that facilitated the paperwork for the visa paperwork for the British Embassy is shutting down shop in 2 days' time, essentially. And from the 4th of December, the applicants will have to go elsewhere. I guess they will research where to go. What I could say here is that applying for any visa, be that UK, which is not in the EU anymore, and the EU visas, Schengen visas that you may know of, the Schengen space, is quite a challenge. The waiting time now is several months long, and I was going to film a little collaboration with some visa guys, but they never got back. So I can only say that the only chance to travel for someone local would be buying a tour to the country of destination, and normally the visa will be granted just for those 7 days for which the tour was booked. So that brings us to this funny philosophical debate about whose country is more challenging to travel to. Americans or Britons would lament about the difficulty of getting a Belarusian visa, for which they have to throw 3 or 4 papers into one envelope and get it back in a week. And we here just have to research how to get the goddamn job done and get a waiting time of, say, 3 to 6 months to just get to collect the papers for the envelope, by which time we would need new papers. So that's about different modes of travel and the different policies. Let's just hope for the better times when you will be able to safely and cheaply come up and visit Belarus for whatever purpose you have in mind, be that tourism or relocation. And either with tourism or relocation, I'll be happy to assist you guys on the ground. The contact is here. Please message me if you have something specific. Last but not least, guys, a little bit of the yellow stuff that some people tend to enjoy about the news releases. Although this is not a media release, this is just my opinion about local and global events. So there's this guy who was driving a truck with scrapped metal, apparently with no paperwork, allowing that to happen as a commercial venue, and he was stopped by the traffic cops and they apprehended him, and he was offering them some 1,000 rubles, $300 for a bribe. That was obviously stupid, because that was duly recorded and processed by the officers. And here is just a lyrical reminder that we still are a European country where there is a huge anti-corruption movement. So wherever you are, in any situation, talking, indicating about money, dropping money on the table, bringing a bottle of whiskey or any crap like that should not be even a part of your thought trail. Avoid these things, discuss, negotiate, find a niche specialist that will navigate you through the process. Make sure the consultant you're using is successful and makes sense, and don't even joke online that you should drop a few $100 on the table and resolve the matter. It's not a good idea from all points. Thank you very much for watching. It was a pleasure, and I hope there will be some feedback down below. Press likes, dislikes, comment underneath, especially on some global events that you are in the middle of. That would be helpful, and at some point I hope to see you in Minsk and have a coffee or have business with you, and travel wisely, travel safely, shop responsibly. Cheers.